Hello, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. Kevin Smith here. These are the top stories. We're tracking Lowenfield Myers and Mingo charged for declaring false accounts of votes. Henry Boy's relative among 4 remanded for Harish Singh's murder. Gun and ganja and cocaine found at hot dog stand. Minor remanded for allegedly killing Maruka man. Haitians found abandoned on Linden Latham Trail, and men who refused to pay for hot dog beat vendor and steal cash. Meanwhile, IICA elects Guyana as rapporteur. Meanwhile, miner killed in Blackwater Backdam after mining pit caves in. Stay tuned to stay informed.
Citizens are being reminded to continue observing the COVID-19 guidelines by practicing social distancing, good hand hygiene, wearing a mask when out in public, and reporting promptly any illness to your nearest health facility. If you or your family member experiences any fever, coughing, vomiting, diarrhea, skin rash, cuts, sticks, bruises, or other conditions, seek medical attention immediately. The Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation and other outpatient departments in the respective areas are fully operational and equipped to provide adequate care. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health on 223-9705 or 223-9713.
Now for the news in detail. Embattled Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield, a Deputy CEO Roxanne Myers, and Region 4 Returning Officer Claremont Mingo were yesterday charged with conspiracy to declare false accounts of votes. The 3 GCOM officials were slapped with 2 charges, one for the March 2nd, 2020 regional elections and a latter charge for the general elections. They appeared in the Georgetown Magistrates Court before Magistrate Shertle Isaacs Marcus. They were not required to plead to the charge, which alleges that between March 2nd and August 2nd, 2020, they conspired with each other, together with former APNU AFC Coalition Minister and current PNC Chair Valdo Lawrence and others, to defraud the electors of Guyana by declaring the false account of votes for the March 2020 elections. Principal Magistrate Isaacs Marcus granted the defendants bail in the sum of $100,000 each for the 2 charges, and the matter was adjourned to September 14, 2021. In other news, yesterday, a tearful 27-year-old Quintin Chase of Norton Street, Working Rust, was remanded to prison by Chief Magistrate Ann McLennan after he was charged for killing his younger brother. Chase made his first court appearance in the Georgetown Magistrates Court, where the capital charge of murder was read to him. He was not required to plead to the indictable charge, which alleges that on June 25th, he murdered his brother, 24-year-old Paul Anthony Chase. After remanding him, the Chief Magistrate adjourned the matter to July 22nd. On the day of the incident, the dead man's mother, Sonia Chase, said that her sons had a misunderstanding, which then got out of control. Based on police report, Paul received 2 stab wounds, one to his neck and the other to his chest. And moving on, shortly after the Director of Public Prosecutions returned advice, the 4 men who were in custody for the murder of West Coast Berbice teenager Harish Singh of No. 3 Village, West Coast Berbice, was yesterday charged with the capital offense of murder. The men, 29-year-old Philip Anderson, 27-year-old Joel Gittins, 21-year-old Charles Scott, and relative of the Henry boys, 27-year-old Gladstone Henry, was arrested by ranks from the Guyana Police Force's Major Crimes Unit and were charged with murder committed on the 9th of September 2020. They were remanded to prison and the case was adjourned to July 12th. The matter was also transferred to the Blairmont Magistrates Court for report. A wanted bulletin was issued for Gladstone Henry, who later turned himself over to the authorities in the company of his lawyer, Nigel Hughes. In other news, 81 Haitians were rescued on Sunday by law enforcement officials after they were found abandoned and wandering along the Linden Latham Trail around the vicinity of Kurupukuri crossing. Based on information, 2 children were amongst the 81 persons that were found. We understand that the Haitians formed the group to flee to Brazil after the free visa travel to Ghana for Haitian citizens was recently revoked by President Irfan Ali. The group was found and picked up by law enforcement officials and was taken to the Latham Immigration Office, where they were held in custody. However, some of them were released given the fact that their documents were legal and it is alleged that they were staying legally in Guyana but were attempting to flee to Brazil before their 6-month visas were expired. It is unknown as to how the group got to the location where they were picked up. It is believed that they were in the jungle for days with limited food and water. And now let's tell you, the Executive Committee of the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation and Agriculture, or IICA, comprising Argentina, Bolivia, Ecuador, Guatemala, Guyana, and others, has elected Guyana as a rapporteur for the current committee. Guyana now bears the responsibility for the presentation of resolutions of the proceedings for approval by the Executive Committee. The election comes as part of a 2-day consultation for the analysis of technical, administrative, and financial matters that are pertinent to IICA's member states. In his address, the Minister of Agriculture of Guyana, Zulfikar Mustafa, praised the progress of agri-food system developments in the Caribbean. He also noted that President Airfinale was elected as the lead spokesperson in the Caribbean to comment on agriculture, and that President Ali's recommendation to CARICOM for the development of a ministerial task force to advance the agri-food system was now not only implemented but extremely active, and as a result, tremendous progress has been made within the past 3 months on the topic. You're listening to Kaieteur Radio. This is your news at noon. We will return after the break.
The COVID-19 vaccine gives us hope for a healthier tomorrow. Have you received your shot yet? The Regional Health Services in Region 2 invite you to get vaxxed and get a chance to receive a COVAX hamper. A what? A COVAX hamper. When vaccinated, you will receive a coupon, and drawings will be done weekly at the Suddy Health Center and broadcast live on the Regional Health Services Facebook page on Sundays. Get vaccinated and get a chance to be one of 4 lucky winners of a COVAX hamper. Cameroon Supernam, fighting COVID-19 for a safer region and safer Guyana.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. 4 men who on Saturday refused to pay a hot dog vendor for 10 hot dogs they had eaten decided to beat him instead with a cricket bat and steal his day's sales. Recovering at home from a broken jaw and multiple lacerations to his body is 41-year-old Ignatius Nazim Manoff, a remigrant from neighboring Venezuela who resides at Ana Catarina on the west coast of Demerara. Manoff was beaten and robbed by the men sometime after 20 hours that evening along a roadway at Ana Catarina. According to reports received, the hot dog vendor could have been beaten to death had it not been for the intervention by residents living nearby. He was unable to speak to us because of his broken jaw. Get the full details in today's Kaieteur News. And now let's tell you, 28-year-old Charles Griffith, a minor of Robb Street, Lazytown, Georgetown, was yesterday remanded to prison for the murder of a Maruka man. The charge alleges that on June 23rd at IICA, Middle Mazaruni River, Griffith murdered 30-year-old Shane Blake, a minor of High Macabra, Maruka. The chief magistrate remanded Griffith to prison, and the matter was transferred to the Bartica Magistrates Court. Griffith is expected to make his next court appearance on July 27, 2021. Blake was in an abandoned building when he was awakened by the defendant. It is alleged that Griffith was armed with a handgun. Blake armed himself with a cutlass and fired a chop, wounding Griffith to his shoulder. However, before Blake could have reacted any further, Griffith retaliated by discharging a round. In other news, police on the Essequibo Coast, Region 2, on Monday found a plastic bag containing a handgun, several grams of cannabis, and suspected cocaine stashed at a hot dog stand in close proximity to Charity Nursery School. The discovery was made sometime around 23 hours 35 on Monday night by police ranks following a tip-off they had received. Police found a 9mm pistol and 4 transparent plastic bags containing a quantity of suspected cannabis and cocaine. Police said that the serial number on the firearm had been removed. The suspected cannabis, on the other hand, was weighed and amounted to 40 grams, while the suspected cocaine weighed 42 grams. The narcotics and firearm have been lodged at the Charity Police Station and no arrests have since been made. In other news, a 21-year-old miner was killed yesterday at approximately 16 hours 30 in the Blackwater Back Dam, Quintin River, while he was working in the pit. The deceased is identified only as Vibes from 4 Mile Sport, Kaieteur. Based on information on Monday afternoon, the victim, one of 5 workers, was jetting in the mining pit when the dam that held slush from the tailings broke and slush began to run down. An alarm was raised and the victim's co-worker and friend, resulting in the victim pinching the hose. The victim started to run in an attempt to save himself, but the slush caught and covered him entirely. Investigations are still ongoing. And now for your COVID-19 update. The Ministry of Health yesterday reported that 2 more persons who tested positive for COVID-19 have died. According to the ministry, the latest fatalities are that of a 38-year-old man and a 39-year-old woman, both from Region 4. The country's COVID-19 death toll now moves to 468 rather. 68 new cases were recorded, taking the total number of confirmed cases to 19,959. 13 patients are in the COVID-19 ICU, 91 persons in institutional isolation, 1,508 are in home isolation, and 9 are institutionally quarantined. To date, a total of 17,879 recoveries have been made. Before we wrap things up, let's head over to the page 7 of the Kaieteur News dedicated to being blunt. Recently, we carried an article with this title: Meeting Paris Agreements Targets Critical to Preventing Future Water Disasters, says President Irfanali. That is well said and praiseworthy, Mr. President. But why is the event of an oil spill, God forbid, a not unheard of or unlikely man-made disaster not of the same priority for the Guyana government? That would have a terrible, if not catastrophic, impact on Guyana's and possibly the waters of the Caribbean Sea. How come that is also not prioritized as critical and something compulsory for us to be safeguarded against? Safeguarded by demanding that Exxon obtain and maintain satisfactory insurance coverage. How and why is that not so critical? If Exxon has to pay for insurance, then it will have to put safety standards and procedures for underwriters to appreciate the risks involved and extend coverage. Aside from the insurance premium money, it appears that Exxon has no interest in covering the additional expense for necessary safety precautions. When will President Ali and his Vice President insist upon this? And with that, we've come to the end of today's News at Noon. Kevin Smith here. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise